Hello and welcome to Metapsychics, a metaphysical spiritual podcast where Em, say hi.
Hold on, this is giving me anxiety. Okay, go on.
Well, Em, say hi.
No.
We're psychic mediums, twin flames, best friends, and business partners, and we talk about all of those weird, spiritual, metaphysical, spoopy, paranormal stuff. And today we're talking about the catacombs, and we're going to do it psychic
The
chicken.
Paris Catacombs.
Yeah.
Be specific. There are multiple catacombs.
Oh, I didn't know that. Is that like honeycombs?
I told you what a catacomb was. You weren't listening.
I know, but I'm making a joke about honeycombs. They're magically delicious, or is that Cheerios?
I don't know.
Or maybe it's
magically delicious.
I think that's
Lucky Charms.
damn.
No, there's nothing to do with
Yeah.
honeycomb.
There was something with the honeycombs, and they had like wrappers in it.
So this is one of those things. This is a famous haunted location where one of us, as psychic mediums, knows absolutely nothing about the location, and then the other person does all of the research, and then Liv likes to call it psychic chicken. So the person that knows nothing uses their mediumship abilities to talk to the souls and get the story behind the haunted place.
Soul, spiritual beings, entities, you know. That metaphysical energy. And then the other person, once the chicken, psychic chicken, is done gobbling about whatever it is, the one that is fully versed in all of the cool research, which in this case is going to be M, tells us about the history and happenings of the Paris Catacombs.
Yeah. So we've already filmed the YouTube video about it. So, Liv, what did you see before you knew anything about the Paris Catacombs?
Yeah, the one quote that I said is honestly still the thing that, what is it that the kids call it nowadays? Shooketh me the most.
Which is?
I literally said something about as above, so below.
Yeah, and it's a horror movie about the Paris Catacombs.
Dude, I was letting this lady in white talk through me, and it was weird. Anyways, so in the YouTube video, if you guys want to go check that out because you like to, see our beautiful faces or something.
See our first time reaction?
Yeah.
Because we do it first on YouTube.
We do. The link will be in the show notes. But without further ado, the first thing I wrote down on my scribbly piece of paper that I'm referencing from last week is, quote, a lady in white, but she saves people. Oh, no. She saves people, I wrote, but she scares people like me. And
she's just scary to you because you're afraid of strong spiritual woman.
Well, that's literally what I wrote. I put you as an M could talk to her, though. She has the same bad bitch vibes.
She was what we like to refer to as my tour guide. So when we do these famous haunted locations, we usually try to find a soul that helps explain everything to us. And she was that for me, but I think Liv had someone else. I don't remember. Yeah,
well, I don't think it's necessarily that we try to find somebody. They find us because they're like, oh, no, tiny, stupid medium. Come here. I sit underneath wing and I explain all of scariness to you, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Uh-huh. So I didn't want to say a lady in white because, with all the paranormal, spiritual, whatever stuff, a lady in white is so cliche. I was like, all right, this is definitely not me. I'm not a medium. I'm just having an egotistical mind fart.
No, I see her too. She's the first thing that I see when I was looking up the catacombs. I see a woman that's like in a veil type thing. She's in white and she usually carries like a lantern type thing and helps lead people out of the catacombs when they're lost.
I don't necessarily see her with a lantern. I just see her as this giant, bodacious, freaking badass looking Venetian woman and like long white robes. And she has huge fucking angel wings. And she's like just gold light seeps out of her from every fucking orifice. Mm-hmm. Which is weird.
Which, if you guys don't know, the Paris Catacombs is basically like a big grave. And we did a graveyard video, and I believe we did a podcast on it as well. And there's usually a gatekeeper at places like that. And I believe that she is probably the gatekeeper of this location.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's the first thing I wrote down. And then the second thing after the lady in white is I wrote, quote, old man carrying something but not a light, or is it a light? But it doesn't have a light in it. Like there's no like light in the lamp. And he told me that he helps people find their way out. It's really cute. He's like, in his 50s or 60s. He's older with like a gray beard and he wears kind of like old wool clothing, if that makes any sense. And he told me that the reason he looks like that to me is because when he shows me himself, he kind of looks like an old coal miner person, but like clean. And his lantern is what he holds out in front of himself. But again, it doesn't have a light, which is interesting. So, do people have stories about going into the catacombs? Because he's telling me the reason the lantern isn't lit is because he's not lost. So are there people out there that have I got lost in the catacomb stories and they see somebody like a spirit or an apparition with a lantern and the light is on? He goes, you only see the light on if you're lost. I didn't get that last week.
I don't know. I haven't watched any. Okay. If they were actually lost, they might not find their way out. But the people that I have seen that are lost don't see a spirit necessarily. Really? Yeah. The stories that I found are basically scare tactics, saying that the walls tell you that, like, go in deeper and get you lost.
Weird.
So I have not found any stories like that, but also people like to make it scarier than it is.
Well, yeah. So. Fear mongering. It's really fun. Anyways, so the only scary thing that I wrote is red eyes between the holes in the walls, but not in between the skeleton walls, though. They're like holes in actual walls. I don't know. It's just like I see only red eyes and shadows. And, it's funny because the lady in white was telling me these things. So with the thing with the red eyes, with showing the red eyes in the walls, she literally made me write not the skeleton walls, though, because those be sacred. Mm-hmm. And the way she kind of made me feel about this red-eyed whatever it is that he or it is the manifestation of the fear-mongering that is associated or the stigma around the catacombs itself. But I really want to stress the fact that the lady in white, this Venetian angel woman, is the keeper of the catacombs, for lack of a better term, or the gatekeeper, kind of like Em explained from the graveyard video. And she's like, think of she showed me the catacombs as like her home. And the way she wants to express what they're like for her is when you go over someone's house and they're so excited to show you like every nook and cranny because they're so proud of it, like the different details in the rooms and the certain accents and styles that they've chosen, stuff like that. That's kind of how she showed me the catacombs and how she makes me feel she feels about them. And in association to the red-eyed thing, she's like, he's kind of like a renter that we can't get rid of legally. So we just kind of ignore him when he's being annoying. And there's not much that we can do about it because people continue to fearmonger the catacombs. So he's going to continue to show up and have like parties by himself. But he's not associated with us. He's just this squatter, for lack of a better term.
Right.
So it's interesting. And then I wrote a fucking well, question mark, because I was like, why is she showing me wells? Like literally just random ass fucking well somewhere, which is weird. And I thought that I was, again, not a medium, just being crazy because I've been watching The Magicians and literally like 2 days before we recorded this video, I was watching the episode, spoiler alert, if you're watching The Magicians, where two of the characters go on top of this mountain and there's like a well where you can put, I don't know, things that go to the underworld into, but...
Well, you were saying that the reason why they have wells, because I told you that there's wells within the catacombs. You said that there's wells to keep the tunnels from being flooded.
Did I say that before or after you told me that?
Well, I told you that there are wells filled with water because the tunnels are usually filled with water.
Oh, yeah. And then the man with the light told me, he's like, yeah. Oh, no, it wasn't him. It was the architect guy. I forgot we talked to him, but he was after.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but I didn't know before they'd said that's what the wells were for. I was thinking it's like, I don't know, dark, scary things crawl up the wells. Because after I just got done talking to the red-eyed thing. So I was like, this is like things pulling themselves out of hell. No, it's literally irrigation.
What happens when you're in the ground? There's lots of water.
And then I wrote depth, not all on one level. Guys, I don't know anything about the catacombs. I didn't even know if there was a freaking movie about it. And
catacombs at least have 2 stories because I watched a video where they had a guide take them into the catacombs, and there were people that like would carve out holes from the ground because they were on the bottom story of the catacombs and they wanted to get to the top and they couldn't figure it out, so they just dug a hole between the two sections to get to the top portion.
Which is weird. I knew the catacombs were a place where like all of the bones and stuff were held, but I don't know why. I don't know the history about it. And I thought it was all one fucking level. That's really why I put so many question marks of it's not on all just one wet level. Makes no sense to me. And then they made me write out because I started making just like squares or like circles, and the souls made me write they're like, no, it's not squares. Kind of like when you think of a maze in a garden, they were showing me like the garden from Alice in Wonderland, how they kind of, or like the old English gardens that like come out from one another and each section is like a wall, if that makes sense. Or like from Harry Potter, that garden when they're like in, what is it, the Sorcerer's Game or something? What's the game, the Goblet of Fire?
I guess. Oh, you mean the maze?
Yeah, they're like in a maze, but if you look at it from the top, it like looks like each layer from the middle goes out, and they're like, it's not a circle and it's not a square. So I literally started drawing octagons or hexagons. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Hexagons.
Because the way they carved out these tunnels were in what they quote said honeycomb patterns.
And that's what they made me draw.
Yeah.
I did not put catacombs to like honeycombs. I didn't put those two together.
Well, neither did I.
So
it just says it.
It's weird. And then the two last things that I wrote was gold, gold, gold. And Em's like, what the fuck does that mean? Did people like hide money in that? I was like, no. The lady in white is literally just telling me that everything in the catacombs is gold. Like for us, gold is happy light, it's healing light, it's spiritually high energy, good, super awesome, skookum light, positive light. So she was like, yes, just everything's gold. Also, honeycombs are gold, right? They're magically delicious. Sorry, still not honeycombs. Anyways, what is that from The Office? Break me off a piece of that fancy feast. Sorry. Anyways, so now you all have that stuck in your head for the rest of existence. The last thing I wrote was a librarian man. There was like some sort of librarian man who worked for a woman who was above the ground, and he's in there. So didn't you ask me about an old cranky man too? Because I talked about the librarian man, and you're like, who is he? And then this other guy that was like older and is like 50s-ish or something was talking about how he didn't get lost in there. Because you're like, I don't know, I think you're talking about this guy that people found.
Because I asked you their profession, and you told me something, and I was like, that's not it.
Yeah.
So then another guy showed up, and it was the man that is upset that people think that he got lost.
Yeah, because he's like, I didn't get lost. I'm not a pussy.
Yeah. So.
And then we had a conversation about pussy and where the actual word came from, because it's short for like pussyiolus or something.
Okay.
Yep.
Got anything else to say?
No, but I'm sure as you talk about it, more weird things are going to pop up, like the man with the lantern.
Okay. Are you ready to hear about the Paris Catacombs?
Yay!
So the first thing that you need to understand is what exactly is a catacomb. So a catacomb is an underground burial ground, and the Paris Catacombs were not originally created to be a catacomb. They are more of, I think the word is pronounced ossuaries, which is basically a storage place for bodies and things like that. So the catacombs got their names from I believe it's the Roman necropolis, and that is why they are now referred to as the catacombs, even though they are basically a giant ossuary. So, like I originally said, the catacombs were not originally made to be a burial ground. They were actually a mine for limestone. So, before Paris was actually Paris, like during the Gallo-Roman period, the inhabitants of, I believe it's Lucia, that's what Paris used to be called, the forerunner of present-day Paris. They used to use limestones to construct buildings. So in years later, this stone built much of the city. So they were creating these mines underneath the city, which is now the catacombs. And what's interesting, like Liv was explaining with the weird stories about the mazes. They were saying that the Mayan utilized the technique of extracting horizontally along the vein, a process which left a honeycomb of tunnels as Paris grew. So people helped themselves to the stone, first for their humble dwellings, but they also used some of these limestones for like big cathedrals and things like that during the Middle Ages. And that's where the city started becoming bigger and the city started spreading. And then they fell into a couple issues, first of which they were starting to create the city over these mines. So there were some structural issues in the sense that some of these places would collapse because there's nothing underneath them, because there's big mines underneath them. So because they were worried about, the structural integrity of the ground and building on top of it, they put in a rule or a law stating to prevent anyone else from digging new tunnels underneath the city. Now, because Paris has now become bigger and bigger and spread their, reach, the population started to increase as well. And that is where they started falling into the second problem, where their cemeteries of Paris were filling up.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you because I've been having a brain blast over here in the corner like Jimmy Neutron. So last week when we were filming, you mentioned that the town originally, or the city that the catacombs was originally built in during its construction, was called Lucia. And I was like, okay, this is weird because, this is your research. You're just researching the Paris Catacombs, which is in France. And you said, okay, well, it used to be the Roman Empire. And when the catacombs were being built, the city or town was called Lucia. And I was like, okay, but I didn't put that together in my mind. I just remember thinking when you said Lucia that it sounded Italian, and I was confused because I was like, I'm Italian. I don't know Italian, but I'm enough to talk with my hands and be obnoxious and have arguments with people. So I'm just going to keep quiet. But it confused me that we're talking about the Paris Catacombs in France, but that word or that city name sounded Italian to me. And then I'm sitting here writing this down because I'm telling you guys again that the lady in white that I see describes herself to me and has me use the specific terms of that she looks like a Venetian angel. And I'm like, I thought about this last week when I said the same thing on the YouTube video, and I thought to myself, Venetian is Italy. Why, if I'm a psychic medium, is this lady in white angel telling me to say that she looks like a Venetian angel? Because, the whole white garb, stone statue type shit, it all flies. But we're talking about France. France is not Italy. Why am I stuck in Italian? This is me. I'm Italian. I'm just talking with my hands and I'm going crazy. I'm not a medium. This is stupid. But the town that the catacombs was built in was originally a part of the Roman Empire, hence why the town's name before it was Paris was Lucia, which is why it sounds Italian. And I'm talking to the angel lady and I'm like, okay, so it was actually Italy before it was France, or at least a part of the Roman Empire, which is Italian, hence the silly name, but or not the silly name, but the Italian sounding name. But what does that have to do with anything? And last week and this week, we're also going to talk about how a lot of bodies were moved into the catacombs. And one of the topics that we touch upon is that the reason the lady in white is the quote unquote, gatekeeper of the catacombs in Paris is because there was a lot of controversy over moving people that were already laid to rest for the betterment of the French society. So she explains that we have a video or a podcast that'll come out eventually about angels, and that angels, the lower tier of the triad of angels, are for the human people specifically. She's like, I am here from God, creator, source, whatever, to be the representation or the representative figure, angel, as you said, for the souls that are of the catacombs. And during this time, when all of the bodies were being moved, the people that had died and are buried in the catacombs, the main religion of France, present-day France at that time, was Roman Catholicism. And I was like, okay, I know what she looks like with her cool Venetian garb. So, we looked up pictures of Ave Maria. She looks like that, but bigger and badder.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Yes.
losing your shit right now.
I mean,
I
makes
wrote-
sense.
I wrote light bulb, and then I put, but in Gru's voice from Despicable Me, light bulb.
Yeah, because that's what she looks like.
Yeah.
She has a white veil, like, robe thing on.
It's crazy.
It's a fun time.
I'm just like over here, like the dude from In Sunny in Philadelphia with like the lines everywhere. Like, anyways.
So, anyways, the city was expanding their population, and their 200 graveyards could not keep up with the space. So each time someone had passed, they would dig a hole and they would find bones underneath it. There was no room for people to then be put into these cemeteries. And it started having issues with, like, sanitation due to the fact that the, like, bodies were, I don't know, collapsing and going into restaurants and things like that, you know, nonchalantly. So there were a lot of issues with sanitation in the sense that infection, illness, it started polluting the wells, so people were getting sick from drinking the water. So the citizens of Paris were very angry about the overflowing cemeteries. So much so that they eventually decided to take the bones from these cemeteries and put them down into the mines underneath the city. This is where they decided that these were going to be the ossuary or the catacombs. So these bodies were moved at the dead of night. Sorry. But but the reason why they did it at night is not to upset people, like Liv said. Because moving dead bodies is what a lot of people would refer to as, like, I don't know, stressful. That's not the right word.
Taboo.
Yeah, taboo. Like, you're waking in a resting soul. Now they're going to haunt us. Like, that type of weird superstition type deals.
It's nighttime, so technically they could be sleeping.
Wow, you mean the ghosts are sleeping?
Yeah.
Well, are you sleeping when you're being carried somewhere else?
I mean, I would just use it to be my time, like the weekend at Bernie's. I'd be like, this is my time. I'm shining right now. Who has the sunglasses? I refuse to be moved unless I have sunglasses.
God. So the biggest cemetery in France, which is the Cimetière des Innocents, that was one of the cemeteries that collapsed into a basement of the local restaurant. That started filling up and they started moving the bones to what is now the catacombs. However, from April 1786 to about 1814, all of the other cemeteries were starting to fill up, so they continued to move bones and bodies into the catacombs until, again, the 1814s.
Oh, the 1814s. It was a good time.
So that was when they finally closed off the catacombs, and these tunnels would be home to 6 million Parisian souls.
6 million.
6 million.
Only say it in the form of Dr. Evil.
So the bones were not just, like, put down there nonchalantly. They were actually put down there with the utmost respect, and they had a... I don't know his name. I think is Hecart de Thury. He was in charge of putting the bones down there, and the way that he did it is in order to please, and kind of like a museum. So he did it in very architectural and artistic ways, which is why nowadays you can see them and they're in these beautiful sculptures. However, not just the bones were placed in these beautiful sculptures. There were also other architectural structures down there, such as columns, plaques, altars, those types of things that were not made of bones. They were just made down there, again, for a sign of respect.
I forgot when we did the video, we talked about how the lady in white was saying how she likes the tours and that people go down there to kind of pay homage to the people that are buried there. But there are certain tours, tour guides, and people that put the stigma on the catacombs names. And she's like, that's what I'm not cool about, is that this is a place of respect. It is a cemetery. It is a burial ground. And nobody really, since the man who created the architectural beauty of it and took such, I don't know, respect and, I don't know, like dignity in doing this.
Yeah.
Creating it. He's like, she said, no one's been that respectful since then. And I'm okay with it. And some of the tour guides and people are very nice and try to capture the actual essence of the catacombs itself, which is why it is that. But she's like, I'm not okay with all of the people that like to fearmonger it.
Yeah,
which is stupid.
Dealing with death, a lot of people are scared of it because they're scared of like the unknown and about all of that. They find it like very gross. They also probably find it very gross that they are moving bodies and like putting them in artistic structures and things like that. But what this man was doing was he was trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like value each person's life that he had to move down there, because it's a really hard thing to have to do, to move the bodies of so many people's loved ones. And one of the things that you were saying in our video last week is that he took it upon himself to value each one of these people's past loved ones as if they were his own past loved ones, which is why he put them in these sculptures in the utmost respect.
And employed the artist that made the columns that aren't made of bones to do so in such a manner.
Yeah, because I don't think those people that worked for him understood the gravity of what they were doing.
Yeah, we talked about it in the Michelangelo aspect of like the sculptors who made those statues or pieces or columns or whatever were, because there was a couple different souls that came in, just random past French people.
Oh yeah, that was telling you about the occurrence because it's weird.
The political climate of the situation when it was happening. It was hilarious because some people were like, all right, well, we don't want to get sick because dead body juices are getting into our water stream. You know, someone's poisoned the water hole. God darn it, Great Aunt Tucker. What is your problem? Oh, yeah. No, overcrowding.
Just imagine like sanitation issues because your cemeteries are overcrowded.
But
like, that's screwed up.
But everyone's Roman Catholic or something close to it, or not. I don't know, whatever it was. But they're like, you can't, don't leave, what is it? Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. And they're like, no. If we do that, you're going to get cholera and die. Do you like that?
Oh, if you put it back where it came from, you're going to get sick?
Yeah. So this guy, could you imagine, and he wanted to be, what was his name?
Oh, his name is hard. Yeah.
Can I see it?
Day 3.
Let me see his
name. Good look.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at his name. Body's moved. Oh. Ercart, Day 3. Well, anyways, Ercart was like, all right, within this volatile climate, social stigma thing that we're doing, I don't think that people should die. That's not cool. So someone was like, all right, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, what architect wants to have this horrible, horrible big toe of a job? And no one's like, we don't want to do that. It's actually not architecture. And I don't want to be in the middle of this political crosshair fire, because some people think maybe we shouldn't be poisoning the water hole. Other people say, you can't move my grandma because that goes against my entire religion and it's wrong. So he's like, well, he gave me the feeling that no one really gave him the
credit.
The credit or the accreditation of that he is an architect.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why he was so easily able to talk with you too when you were doing this research, to find things that really highlighted the austerity or posterity, I don't know, of the catacombs in the light that the spiritual beings and spirits are associated with it want it to be portrayed as, not the stigma and scariness that, you know, movies and other fear-mongering things claim it to be.
He was talking to me because that's what I understand.
Yeah.
Because I'm an artist, and one of the forms of art that I express is expressing dark things with a lighter heart, showing them that they're more beautiful than people see. So he's not playing with dead bodies. He's trying to show the beauty of these people's lives.
Yes. And he's the one that took the short straw by himself willingly to do this. And it's really cool. And I just feel like everyone on the podcast wavelengths need to know that, because that's what he tried to portray through you and I so strongly. of he took this job seriously and he understands the shit political climate that he had to go into, because we had souls come in and tell us their funny thing about it.
Yeah, because most people, when they talk about the catacombs, talk about how a lot of people get lost and they die in there and it's scary and things can collapse and all of these like really horrible things. But it wasn't meant for that. So if you guys are interested in viewing the catacombs, there is a tour that you can take with Paris. And what to expect on this tour is when you go into the catacombs, there's about like a half mile that you are able to access on the tour. However, there is like over 180 miles of the tunnels themselves. So there are obviously people that do it with the tour, but there are people that do it illegally. And I think they're called cataphiles that do it regularly, and they study the catacombs and they go into different locations of these 180 miles. So they're not all entirely filled with bones and things like that. They were originally made for mines, so they are literally all over the city.
That was what the librarian was telling me.
Yeah.
He's like one of the cataphiles, but he worked for evil lady above ground that made him do things. But he was like, I'm going to do her weird, sketchy shit down here, like leave a suitcase full of $1 million. $1 million. But also I get to go down here because he used the I don't know,
a different access point to get in.
Well, no, he talked about, he equated himself to the guy from the Avatar that wanted to die in the ancient library.
Oh.
Because he's like, oh, you're going to have to die with the knowledge. It's great. I love it. It's awesome.
Oh, and that's why he's still down there.
Yeah, he's not. It's not that he's unhappy. He's like, no,
this is fantastic. Yeah. I learned so much.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do go on this tour, you will be met with a spiral, or they say corkscrew staircase, that drops you about 20 meters underground. And then once you get to that 20 meters, you are met by the like pseudo entrance of the catacombs. And there's a sign there that has the words inscribed. Sorry, I'm not French, but it's Arrête, c'est ici l'empire des morts, which means stop, this is the empire of death. So if you do go on this tour, know that you are going to be walking through lengthy tunnels of humid earth. And you also have to understand that if you are claustrophobic, this is not the tour for you, as people who have a hard time breathing or have these big fears of being in small places, you're going to be going through these small tunnels to get to the good parts.
That's my new stimming thing that I do. I do it around the office. I think people want to say something, but they don't.
Mm. I whistle like a cricket, so.
I can't cricket. Max, he can make his face sound like water dropping in a bucket. Honestly.
Well, that's fun.
If you close your eyes, you would not know the difference. I honestly think that he could capitalize off of it, make millions of dollars just selling that sound that comes out of his face.
Anyways.
It's great.
If you do decide to do this, make sure that you follow. If you do decide to go down there, make sure you follow your tour guide, because if you get lost, there's no phone signal down here. And sometimes the walls might talk to you, but we'll get down to that in a different story. So the catacombs were used throughout history for a multitude of different reasons.
Oh, I forgot about this one. It's good.
What?
The wars. The guys that were stationed down there, and I was like, oh, picking the short straw really gets bad when you're there. Sorry, I'm ruining your thing. I just forgot.
It's fine. Because there's multiple reasons of what these catacombs were used for. So these were used throughout wars. Like, I think it's in, I don't know if it's World War II, but they had bunker rooms down there, and they put, like, rooms to go to the bathroom, rooms to get food, all of that type of thing. So when cataphiles go down there, they will describe these specific rooms as these bunkers. So that was the first thing. There's also a multitude of different locations where they stored, like, beer, and they made it into, like, a brewing place down there because of the temperature change. And also it is free to do that. It's not legal, but it is free to do that.
Well, you just don't got to pay for a refrigerator.
Well, you also don't have to pay for the real estate of having like a place to brew things. You can just do it underground. Is what it says on here. But
interesting. So when we have our
beside the
2
point.
giant Victorian mansions that are connected by an underground tunnel, are we going to make brew?
Are you going to brew things?
Only if it's absinthe, like the holy men.
And that's the other story. It wasn't absinthe, though.
I think it is.
I mean, it doesn't say that.
I mean, they call it chartreuse, and you say that it was like what, a yellow and
in the 17th
indigo
in
thing?
in the 17th century,
Good
these
times.
Carthusian monks converted the ancient quarries into their monastery into distilleries for green or yellow liquor that still carries the name chartreuse.
Okay, and green liquor is absinthe, the stuff that the dude who wrote Alice in Wonderland was swifty on.
Yeah, but I thought you decided that it wasn't that.
It has to be.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know enough about the drugs, but
Drugs.
I'm sure that by contextual clues, I can safely assume with at least 23% accuracy that that is absinthe. I don't know what the fucking yellow shit is, though. Sounds
Well,
swifty.
it's either green or yellow.
Maybe the
What's
yellow
the
stuff
yellow,
was
green?
actually just pee. I mean, if you're down there that long making absinthe, someone has to go potty.
I don't think they're doing it in their drinks.
Well, did anyone ever actually test the yellow liquid? Did you actually eat the yellow
God.
snow?
Anyways,
One way to
done
find out.
talking about pee.
I mean, monks gotta pee too.
So let's move on to the myths.
Finding the right person for the job isn't easy. Just ask someone who hired a stuntman to do their home renovations.
Just finished a new sunroom, Mrs. C. The best part is I used candy glass for all the windows, so you can do this. And this. Doesn't hurt a bit either.
But if you've got an insurance question, you can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
And if you don't want to take the long way to the kitchen, the walls are breakaway too. See?
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
At Kroger, no matter where you order free pickup, you get the same great deals as you'd get in store. So you can save when you order during band practice, or at the dog park, or wherever. Start your cart with the Kroger app and save from wherever today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. $35 order minimum. Restrictions may apply. Subject to availability.
You can save an extra $10 when you spend $40 or more on a great selection of participating items. Just look for the signs and save at Kroger.
So the first myth that I have for you is something called the uncovered video camera.
I hate this one.
Yeah, I know. So there is a story about a cataphile that found a video camera, and to their surprise, there was footage on this video camera. And the footage showed a man who was lost within the catacombs, who was slowly losing their minds because they couldn't find their way out. And the footage ends with this man dropping the camera and running off. And this was actually the inspiration for the movie that we were talking about earlier, As Above, So Below. However, lived talked to the soul of this man, and what does he say about it?
Allegedly, I talked to the
Allegedly.
soul of this man.
Yeah.
And he is still down there. He has like a...
Not alive, though.
Yeah, no,
Because
no,
a lot
no.
of people have no idea what happened to him.
Yes, I see him on my left-hand side in soul or in spirit. And for me, that indicates that he is still within the physical realm, or his soul is still within the physical realm. And I was trying to tell him, like, you know, you don't have to be here, right? It's like, you don't have to. And I'm not trying to cross him over. I'm just telling him that if he so chooses to cross over, he can. And he's like, fuck you. You can't tell me what to do. I'm still here because my family needs to know that I didn't die. I wasn't murdered. I wasn't kidnapped. I just got lost. And it's like very important to him that his family knows for sure, like, you know, because some people go missing and no one ever figures out, like, an unsolved mystery case, why they died. And okay, it's been like 38 bazillion years, not for this person, but just hypothetically speaking, for unsolved cases like this. And the family's just assume, all right, the person's dead. And he is very, very staunchly adamant that having that assumed death of your family member is not the same thing of knowing, yes, for sure, they are dead. And he feels that if his family knows that he passed in the catacombs for whatever reason, it would bring them more peace and clarity and solace knowing that he is in fact dead and where he did die, that like, than just not knowing.
Past it.
Yeah, and he refuses to move past that, even with me telling him like, okay, well, eventually enough time will pass that like your family will die and they'll be over there, but like you won't, and you should go over there. And he's just like, over my goddamn dead body. He's like absolutely just adamant about not crossing over until his family is informed of his death. And there is another soul here with him that is kind of like the soul that's supposed to be here to help him pass over. And I mean, he's not here to actively do it, like yank him over, like, I don't care what you're saying, I'm going to pull you on over to this here spiritual line. He's just like, I'm here if he decides to do it. But he's kind of an acquired taste of character. So yeah, it annoys me. And Em's like, well, how do you think he died? And he shows me that he tripped and fell in one of the wells. So no one will actually find where he is because he's in one of the wells.
Yeah.
Presumably.
I mean, it makes sense because those wells are like a 40-foot drop. So no one's just like taking a look down there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But he's very upset. So, and Em's like, well, I asked her, I said, did someone like give the video camera to authorities? And she's like, well, I don't know. And I was like, well, it annoys me.
They know about it, but I don't know if people know what he looks like.
Well, again, using the power of the interwebs. I said this on the YouTube video too, but like if someone in France, does somebody know if they actually identified this guy and told his family? Because he's telling me that they didn't, and it's annoying me. Or if they did, he doesn't know. I don't know. But I feel like it's the first one personally, but I don't know why.
I have no idea.
So.
But yeah.
Because if they found a video camera, that's current. That's like at least 20 years, 30 most, max.
Yeah. I haven't found a story that says they found his family or figured out who he was. Because he doesn't have a name. Whereas my other myth has a guy with a name.
Yeah, it makes me upset. Anyways.
Yeah, so another myth that kind of goes with this story is what happens after midnight. So I've mentioned this a couple times, but a lot of people believe that if you're in the catacombs after midnight, you start hearing voices coming from the walls that tell you to go the wrong direction to get you more lost in the catacombs. Which is interesting because as a medium, when I read this story, I don't think that it is a spirit that is trying to like maliciously get you lost within the catacombs. I honestly see it as residual energy of people who were lost trying to find their way through the catacombs. Because if you go in there, there's a lot of like graffiti and things like that, and people will put arrows because they think they know where they're going. However, they have no idea where they're going. So if you follow the arrows, you will actually get more lost. It's kind of like that, but in a clairaudient type of way.
Oh, you told a scary story about the guide that left those people too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know if that was the same.
Well, I watched this YouTube video, and it was of these YouTubers who found a cataphile online. And the cataphile took them into a like illegal location, and they literally walked 13 miles into the catacombs. And the guy was like, hey, you should just stay here for a while, and I'll go up ahead to make sure that it's safe and make sure like this is the exit. And he's like, I'll be back in 5 minutes. They waited 30 minutes and was like, he's not coming back, is he? So the way that they found their way out was because they were filming their way in. So they had to, with the 2 hours left on their battery, find their way out through 13 miles of the catacombs.
That's like some reverse sociopath, the most interesting game shit.
Well, that's why it's on YouTube.
God.
But that's horrifying.
Well, yeah, was the cataphile French?
Yes.
You done did him dirty. You know who you are.
Because
that's shitty.
One of the things that they said is they don't like Americans down in the catacombs.
Okay, then why would you put them down there? You could literally be the one person that doesn't put the American in the catacomb by literally just being like, I could help you, but I'm refusing to not. Instead, you take them down there and almost kill 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, well, because they would just find someone else to take them down there.
Okay.
But they might come back out. However,
Why would you want to kill them, though?
He didn't directly do it, considering the fact they got out.
Okay, but that is literally intent to kill.
I know, but he asked for them to keep his identity a secret.
So that he could kill them.
Because it's illegal.
No, that's a ruse.
And they literally, at the end of this video, had a text message with them. And he texted them and was like, glad you made it out. Bet it made a really good YouTube video. That's what he said. And I was like, that sounds like a good reason to hide their identity.
That's the most French shit I've ever heard.
I mean, he was talking the entire time about, oh, did you hear that one story where this cataphile took YouTubers into the catacombs and then left them? And then it happened. He was planning on it, It was really cool to watch. However, it was terrifying.
What is that? Stupid Americans.
Yeah, God.
Oh, God. That's not okay. You know who you are.
But yeah, those people were they thought they were hearing voices scattering down the tunnels.
Oh, wait. You said Saturn's in what? And it has something to do with karma?
Well, this is not going to go out for a while, but today is June 4th, and Saturn is now in Gatorade. And I think it has something to do with karma, but I could look it up and tell you.
Bad juju to the Frenchmen who put them in there. Bad dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, dishonor on your family. Hang the shame curtains.
Yeah, the internet says Saturn deals with wisdom, discipline, and karma. So you will learn lessons from your karma. It's a fun time. Anyways, my last myth. My last myth is the ghost of, I think it's pronounced Philibert.
Philibert.
Aspart. And during the French Revolution, a man named Philibert Aspart was a doorman.
He's a homie. He's a G.
Of the Val de Grace Hospital. And it is believed that he was sent on a mission to go get liquor from a cellar that was from a cellar. However, he found himself in the catacombs instead. And as he is walking around the pitch black catacombs, it says it has a candle. However, he supposedly became very confused, disoriented, and got lost within the catacombs. There are also stories of him possibly being intoxicated that prevented him from getting out of the catacombs.
Dude found some of that fucking absinthe.
And the reason why they know about him is that there were a few cataphiles that found his body. I believe it was 11 years later. Yeah, 11 years later. They uncovered his body, and the reason why they know things about him is because he had a keyring with him that described who he was and where he had came from.
1111, make a wish.
However, this is the sassy man that was talking to Liv about how he was not lost.
Yeah, hence why I'm making jokes, because he's funny. So.
Yeah, so do you want to explain to the people what he said to you again?
Well, he did tell me, I felt like he worked at a bank because I saw a big ass fucking building. Banks look like big ass fucking buildings most of the time, at least where we're from. But a hospital also makes sense if he worked at a hospital. Big ass fucking building could look like a bank from the outside. Yeah. And he also was talking about how people used to, a couple different people were talking about how this wasn't him. There was a separate soul that came forward who was younger than Philibert, because he was at 32, the separate soul. And he was talking about how he kind of was just a bad mamma jamma and would steal wine from his brother, who was a respectable man, and stash it in the catacombs to sell later. So he was saying that liquor and wine used to be put in the catacombs and other illicit activities. And then Em thought that I was talking to Philibert. That's what it was. Because I was talking about alcohol, and I was like, no. And then when she said, well, no, there's this guy that apparently they think he got lost and that's why he died, because he was lost down there. This old grumpy dude came up and was like, fuck that shit. That's noise. I ain't no pussy. I didn't get lost in here. That's not how Philibert rolls, you know? So he just wants people to understand that. Stop saying he got lost. He had a heart attack. There's a difference. You're going to have to kill him before he doesn't know where he's going first. And that happened.
You can't really tell that after you find him 11 years later, so. So they just made the story up. However, the best part is that he supposedly haunts the catacombs on November 3rd. So if you want to see his ghost, apparently you can only see it on November 3rd.
I think that's funny. November 3rd is the day or the date that they assume he died. I'm sure that they used some sort of carbon dating to figure out that it was exactly November 3rd of whatever year. But, you know, it also is hilariously quintessential that on the day he died, he's quoted to haunt the catacombs.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're down there and you have a heart attack.
Are there any other ghosts down there that, like, haunt people? Are there, like, ghosts that, like, try to make people lost? What does that dark thing do again?
With the red eyes, I don't know. She just, like,
you were telling me about
over.
it before. Do people see it?
What are you talking about? The red eyes?
Like the shadow guy. You say that he has red eyes and he's like a shadow.
Yeah, he just, like, melts into the floor and he, like, is in the walls.
What does he do? He's got to do things down there, right?
I don't know. I don't really talk to it because it scares me. That's why the lady in white was like, he's a squatter. We don't talk about him.
Because I feel like people see him around corners, but they think it's a person. They see a shadow of a person walking around a corner.
Oh, he says he reflects their fear.
Ah.
So if they're scared and they, like, peer around corners, he does the same thing. He, like, mimics them.
Oh, got it. That's what I'm seeing.
So, like, whatever it is that you're doing, peering around the corner, people are going to say there shouldn't be a shadow, but there is, but he's the shadow of their fear.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Sorry. Then I see people, like, running. Terrified.
Yeah. Uh-huh. No, Philibert's talking about it because I was like, I don't want to talk to this thing. It's scary. And he's like, it's not fucking scary. Because I was thinking maybe it was something that, because we didn't really, like, clarify that when, I mean, you said that you don't think it's an entity that makes people think that or hear people giving them the wrong directions out.
Yeah, I don't think it talks.
Well, Em and I think that to solidify that thought is that the people that get lost in the catacombs, whether they make it out or not, it's a lot of energy, that fear that you have when you're talking to yourself or others about, oh my God, which way did we go? What way are we supposed to be going? Holy fuck, we're lost. We need to go this way. We should go that way. I thought we should go this way. You thought we should go that way. That energy is being literally put into the walls. And we talk on a lot of other things about how your perceptiveness to the metaphysical will become heightened if you are in a fight or flight fawn response. I don't think fawn. It would be more of a fight or flight response, like an adrenaline-induced response. Your perception of things, whether that be physically or metaphysically, are going to be heightened. So you're not hearing something, an entity whispering inside of you. You are hearing the residual hauntings of people's energy of being lost in there, which is why the directions are wrong, because they don't know what fucking way they're going.
Yeah.
It's not...
They literally, that's why there's arrows pointing in literal random directions, because they have no idea where they came from or where to go.
Mm-hmm. But I was thinking, okay, well, maybe this dark thing in the walls is like the thing from the Conjuring house where it makes you go insane. And he's like, no, it's not that. It, like, literally the lady in white would not laugh at it if it was something that scary.
Like, this place does that to you regardless.
Well, because of people getting scared and then hearing things, and then they think it's an entity against them. Exactly. No, he's literally that lower of a dark dimensional entity that he just reflects your fear, which is enough to make you even more scared, which is going to perpetuate your adrenaline rush, which is going to make you hear voices. Mm-hmm. Hence why they're associated with being the same thing, but it's not.
Yeah, it's a cool thing.
Dude, the catacombs was wild for me. I did not think about the whole as above, so below thing. Because that, like, I hear that shit all the time and it freaks me out.
I don't remember what you said about that either.
I think I was talking to some soul and they made me say it. And I didn't want to, but they're like, you have to say it.
Because I also know that you don't watch horror films, so you wouldn't know what that was. So I was like, there's a reason why you said that.
Not at all.
And here it is. It's a good movie. We could watch that movie after we watch the Conjuring movie.
Nope.
Once we get 57 patrons.
We're not. No, we're only watching The Conjuring.
That movie is way better than the Conjuring movie. The first Conjuring movie is dumb. gonna just say it. You'll think it's scary. However,
We've been watching the new Stranger Things at my house.
wow,
It's too
you're
scary.
not scared of that?
No, it's too scary. And Bradley's like, I literally watched season 1 through 3 with you already, and you were fine. Why are you okay with this? And we're watching.
Were you okay for the first 3 seasons?
No, I just watched it by myself.
There
So
you
when
go.
I was scared,
Ugh.
I just had to like sit in my own self scariness, you know. But if I watch things with other people, I get more scared than if I
Why?
was. I don't know. I don't. Maybe like when you're around the house and like people do weird things when they're around the house by themselves because they feel comfortable doing those weird things. I feel comfortable being scared by myself, but
That
I feel
is the opposite of what most people say. Is I can't do this when I'm alone because it's scary. Because I have to deal with it alone.
no. I want to deal with scary things alone, not with other people. I don't know.
So when we take our trip to the Conjuring house, you want to go in the basement alone?
not going to the Conjuring house.
Wait, what do you mean?
No.
The people of the internet think so.
Yeah, well, if they give us enough subscriptions and like Patreon subs, then
How
maybe
many
we'll have,
patron
like-
subs will we have to get to
How
get
much
you in
does
the
it
Patreon? To get you in the Conjuring house.
Well, first we have to factor in how much it actually costs to travel there with all of our expensive, heavy equipment and other people, like in an actual business idea. But I don't think I would go into it. It's scary.
You're not going to go into the Conjuring house?
No,
But there's
it's
so many
scary.
souls that are going to protect you. You'll just see things.
I would rather go into the Lizzie Borden house.
Well, duh. There's nothing in the Lizzie Borden house.
Well, yeah. No, I would not want to go into the Lizzie Borden house either, though. Ugh.
Or are they showing you things now? 'Cause
No, they're just
there's-
making me feel like someone's punching me in the back of the head because
yeah, there's weird
axes.
things in there. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. It just, yeah.
Yeah, I started getting how people die. I haven't.
You've never had that before?
No.
Oh.
Because I was watching this. I started watching this video from Sam and Colby about the lady in red, and once she told me how she died, I was like, we might need to react to this, so I stopped because I feel like I'm being suffocated, and this woman was strangled to death.
Mm.
And then the video that we just recorded about reincarnation stories, this man was telling me about the plane going down, and it made me hear what it sounded like when the plane was going down, and then showed me the pain in his head that went down his entire neck and shoulders.
Isn't
and
it?
then felt like I was being suffocated.
Because he drowned.
But I was like, does that just happen all the time? Nope.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
make sure that you have a line, though, like how much they can show you. Because when I experience the way people or things have died, it's not in a way that's unpalatable. It's kind of like when cats or dogs make me taste their food. I know that it's not something that I would eat, but it doesn't gross me out because I'm receiving it as if I was them, kind of. So it's like not pleasurable, but I associate it with being something that's pleasurable, even though I can taste it and I know it's not me. It's the same thing with feelings of death.
Well, yeah, serendipity has, that's why she steps forward. She's boundaries.
That's cute.
Yeah. Because every time I start losing it, she's like, here are the boundaries that you need. And I'm like, I'm not okay.
Yeah, but you can set
So-
those boundaries too.
I just don't know what the boundaries are because I haven't experienced anything. So,
Well, I mean, you wouldn't want to feel actual physical pain. Like my mom, for example, when she does readings, she doesn't want people to tell her how they died by making her feel it that way.
well, maybe I do want that.
Okay, but
I wouldn't know until I experienced it.
well, I mean,
So-
you just did though, with the lady in red and the car plane crash guy. So
Yeah. And it was fine.
okay.
I just don't realize it was happening.
Yeah, it's weird. I've had a lot of weird ones. I probably like the weirdest one was with like drug addicts.
Yeah, because clairsentience is weird for me because I have so much chronic pain that I just think it's me.
Yeah, but again, it's usually associated with other types of things though too that are going on. Like I knew that this one wasn't me because I don't know what heroin smoke smells like or looks like, but I was describing it to somebody because I was like, I don't know what this is, but this is what they're telling me on how they died.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm at that point to know the difference. So
Interesting.
it's just, here's information. I'm like, I feel weird. But I don't know until someone's like, this is how they died. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, try to make that a boundary though. Be like, you need to tell
see
me
how it
that
goes.
you're telling me this because I don't want it otherwise.
Because I think my spirit guides are slowly giving me different types of information because everything is overwhelming. So anything that is allowed to come through is what my spirit guides are doing. So
you guys want
slowly happening.
Learn more cool things and get access to bonus content and our Discord server where you can talk to us if we're not busy. Em's really chatty on the Discord server. I'm kind of the recluse, and I know that, so sorry, everybody. But we're on the Discord server, and so are a whole bunch of other cool metaphysical, spoopy, spiritual, and awesome sidekicks like your lovely selves that you can also talk to about all things paranormal, spooky, metaphysical, and whatever else you think is awesome. And like Em said, if we reach 57, I'll watch The Conjuring. And you guys can watch me poop
57 patrons. And you guys can watch an exclusive video of Liv watching a horror film.
Can watch a video of me watching a video while I poop my pants.
And then she'll actually understand why it was dramatized, but not actually the extent of what happened in the Conjuring house.
And then she pooped her pants. So thank you, Ian Thomas, Vanessa Chow,
McKenna,
Shannon,
Cindy,
Kaylee,
Mev,
maybe Kylie, Roynika,
Trinity,
Avery,
Cass,
Anthony,
Violet,
Peyton,
Allie,
Mac,
Autumn,
Thias,
Jenny,
Laurel,
Brianna,
Nate,
Bradley,
Sandy,
Naz,
Sherry,
Christina,
Anita,
Katie,
Charles,
Holly,
Krista,
Flo,
Malake. Also, if we said any of your names and you're not on the Patreon or the Discord server, check your email inbox or your spam folder so that you can get set up on that, because I know some of you aren't in there, and it makes me sad because that's how I can, be like, hey!
Hey!
And I feel like you're missing out on a lot of stuff. Unless it's not your jam and you don't want to talk to us like a super cool fun group chat of all the weird, spoopy things that you want to talk about to everybody else, but you can't in your normal life because they'll look at you funny.
Also, you should use Patreon on the desktop app. It's a lot less convoluted than the Patreon app. And you can go to the welcome post and it will tell you what all of your benefits are. So yeah, if you're a patron that has not set up stuff, do it.
And if you don't want to be a part of Patreon, but you do want a psychic medium or tarot reading or both, there's a link in the description to our website to book a reading. It'll be fun.
Did you guys like this podcast? If so, can you follow us and maybe leave a Apple review?
We've gotten one additional. We'll put it in the next one.
Say something in it though?
Yeah.
What is it?
I have to go on Apple Podcasts.
Oh God.
And write it down, but we've only had one. Oh, it makes me sad, guys. The funniest thing that you leave in an Apple Podcast review for us, we're literally going to put it in the next podcast. And I mean it, because Em and I are going to film another podcast right now. Ready, set, go. And I'm going to tell you all what our lovely Apple Podcast reviewer had to say. So you could be one next.
Mm-hmm.
Bum, bum, bum. Say it.
You say it.
You say it.
You say it.
Say it. You say it. I'm going to spray it, though.
Do it.
And we're your meta sidekicks. I thought you were going to do the cricket noise. I'm sad.
It's too much pressure.
Do it for the people.
I can't.
I'll never learn how to turn this off.
Tired of long waits and rushed care at the ER and urgent care clinic? Next time, stay home and let Dispatch Health bring the power of the hospital to you.
I call Dispatch Health. A care team of medical professionals actually come to your house.
They're the same caliber of people that you would see if you were at a hospital or an urgent care.
Dispatch Health can treat most non-life-threatening emergencies.
They can do the x-rays, they can do stitches,
urinary tract infections, blood test, urinalysis, ultrasound.
It's almost everything that they can do at the ER.
You never feel rushed. They're there for you and only you.
I felt like their only patient.
And it costs no more than a trip to urgent care because Dispatch Health is covered by most insurance, including Medicare. See if we serve your home at dispatchhealth.com.
Dispatch Health really went above and beyond.
It's wonderful to have care come to your home.
House calls are back, and they're better than ever. Learn more at dispatchhealth.com.
Finding the right person for the job isn't easy. Just ask someone who hired a stuntman to do their home renovations.
Just finished a new sunroom, Mrs. C. The best part is I used candy glass for all the windows, so you can do this. And this. Doesn't hurt a bit either.
But if you've got an insurance question, you can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
And if you don't want to take the long way to the kitchen, the walls are breakaway too. See?
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
Heard my little sis is buying a car. You'll need my secret guide.
Gross, no way. I already used Capital One Auto Navigator.
I bet your credit score
wasn't impacted at all, so ha. I got my real rate and monthly payment, had an amazing test drive at the dealership, and made the purchase.
Taking the easy way out. That's so you.
Still not getting it. That's so you. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/autonavigator.